What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 235. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and as always, we are here to talk about the biggest topics in gaming with industry, technical, and legal insight. Joined, as always, by these two okay gentlemen. I'm going to give them okay today. You know what I mean? I mean, they're average at
I'm
best.
feeling okay.
That's a compliment.
Yeah.
The filthy casual, the seven himself, Mr. Rodriguez. What's happening, brother?
You tore me away from Hitman for maybe a couple hours, and then I'm going right back. And then I have to go out to the tiny town of Paola, Kansas, and watch the Chiefs play with my family, who likes to, actually my wife's family, very, very angry when they watch games. It's actually kind of exciting. I like to sit outside. I can see the TV from there, have my cigar. And then I come in every once in a while and I'll say something like, oh, yeah, that for sure was a penalty. And then like I watch like her dad, her sister just like lose their minds. And then I'll walk back outside. It's awesome. Such a good day.
Okay. You lost me at Paola, but other than that, you know.
Yeah. Not great.
Speaking of Paola, Kansas, the hipster himself, Mr. Tie Guy Travis. Good morning, sir.
Oh, I'm the hipster. Wow. That's never been accused of that. I wear a full suit every day. I'm pretty conformist over here, but that's okay. Question on Dan being described as a filthy casual. Is the emphasis on filthy or casual? Which is he more? Is he more? Because I just want to know, is he filthier than he is casual, or is he more casual than he is filthy? Because to me, he's competing for both of those titles. You know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on the day, but I like to try to keep it 50-50, but
really, so it's
gotta keep it balanced.
It's intentional choice. You want to make it okay? That's interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
All right. Like someone's already calling for a new poll. A round two of gold versus matching frame. Are we gonna do it again today? We can do it again.
We should do the poll filthy versus casual. We have our poll today already, right?
Filthy versus casual.
Which is Dan Moore, filthy or casual? I would love that poll. If that is a 50-50, I'm going to be really impressed by the people in chat.
Pretty good.
Really don't see how they can.
All right, I'll get that. We'll get a poll going here shortly. So we got quite a few games to talk about today. Finally, we can talk about some games. So we had Xbox Developer Direct we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about Hi-Fi Rush and that surprise release. We've got Dead Space is out. Travis has some things he can finally talk about. We've got Freelancer for Hitman 3, which I don't know if anyone here has played that, but we can try to talk about it. GoldenEye is finally here. I don't know why. We've got the DualSense Edge I'm going to comment on real quickly, and a few other things, Forza, Redfall, etc. So should be a good show. Looking forward to chatting about games finally. We did want to share with everyone here that we sent a care package to Hogue last week. I think we mentioned it on last week's show, but we wanted to share a picture, because of the history with this show, our Cracker Barrel bet with Travis, the Resident Evil chatter that we've had. We kind of put together a care package, which Dan organized. And this arrived for Hogue on Thursday? I think he said he got it. And he was pleasantly delighted. So it was a nice care package. We got a little peg game in there. We got a little Resident Evil 6 representation and, plenty of Cracker Barrel stuff to go around. So as soon as Travis finally gets to experience Cracker Barrel for himself, this is what his closet's probably going to look like. It might be Resident Evil 4 instead of 6, but generally speaking, this is going to be Travis in the future.
That's more shirts and hats than I own currently right there in that photo. That's great.
Hilarious.
You could wear a tie with a Cracker Barrel t-shirt. Start a new trend.
I guess you could. That would be a tough look to pull off, but not impossible. Impossible for me. Let's just put it that way.
I was going to say, where you live, I don't think anyone would even bat an eye. You just kind of do what you want,
I'm surprised they have a Resident Evil 6 t-shirt. I feel like those should be worn.
It's not official.
It's definitely not official.
Okay, gotcha. I was going to say, if they printed a bunch of Resident Evil 6 t-shirts, I feel like they're being worn by some war-torn country, like the losing Super Bowl t-shirts, that just go out to wherever. they need shirt.
Rob actually says, "Where's the Mass Effect 2 merch?" Which made me think we should have gotten him an Andromeda shirt.
Yeah.
Next time.
Good too.
Yeah,
I don't know. Resident Evil 6 is his worst take. Can we agree? He's got a lot of bad takes, but I feel like that's like an unforgivable one. That's like what's wrong
up there.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about Hogue, I can't think of a take that's worse than that. And as to your point, there's been a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
So.
Terrible. Like unforgivable with that one. I mean, I still have I have your reaction photo saved in my phone as it's one of my wallpapers. I think of your face reacting to that, and
scary.
It's pretty horrifying. I'm gonna find it.
GIF form on my phone of that reaction. It was so good.
Oh, really? You have both of us? That's pretty impressive.
I'll send them to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. I'm gonna find Ains's here and show it on the camera because it truly is like. This guy, he was not ready to hear that. None of us were, right? None of us were. So
no one, those words should never, like, you know how like sometimes it amazes you that certain words can be put together to form a sentence, and you're like, probably nobody in the world has ever said that string of words together in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when someone says Resident Evil 6 was better than Resident Evil Village, you have to imagine that those words have never been put together in that form before. And it shocked me.
I think he said he preferred 6 over 8.
No. He said it's a better game. He said it's a better. Dude, it's burned into my brain. He said a Resident Evil 6 is better than Resident Evil Village. And then the reason he offered for it was because Resident Evil Village stretched to fit 7 into its title, which seems to me completely unrelated to the quality of the game. But what do I know? I just review games for a living. Anyway,
I had no frame of reference, so
yeah. I'm gonna find the Zane's photo. Damn it, it's somewhere in my phone. It's one of my wallpapers. It must be saved somewhere.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Every couple hours it pops up, and then my fiance goes, "I forget that you have Ains's face as a wallpaper for your phone," and I'm like, "Proudly, ma'am, proudly."
Oh my god! All right. So that was the care package. On a healthier note, excited to say that if you follow Hogue and you follow his content, you of course know Lawyers and Dragons, and the LawTube kind of crew that do a lot of videos, on that content. So next week we are going to be joined by Mr. Ian Runkle. Oh my God, that was my reaction. I was like, what?
Instant reaction. Beyond belief. Fantastic.
But yes, next week we're going to be joined by Ian Runkle. So that's we tried to get him on for this week. He had a conflict. Next week he's going to join us, and that should be a lot of fun. I know that he's done a lot of content with Hogue. He's a gamer himself, obviously, and it should be fun to have a new guest on the show, and we can kind of share some funny stories about Hogue, I'm sure. So should be a good one. All right. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, yes, we've got the poll up. I had to go with Golder matching again. Sorry, it's by formal request, Travis. We got to do it again. We'll see how democratic the process. 2 times in a row, we're doing a recount. The recount's going to show the same results as the first. I hope so. We'll see. All right, let's jump over to currently playing. So, Travis, I'm going to start with you because it's been a few weeks now. I know you were playing a few games for review, a few kind of preview things. I think you can finally talk about 1 or 2 of them.
One of them. I can talk about
one of them. Yeah, okay. So well, let's start there.
Let's start about the one I can talk about, which is a third-person action game called Wanted Dead, which I played, I think pretty much in its entirety. The preview only let me talk about the first 3 levels, but I basically beat it. And it's it's made by some developers from the Ninja Gaiden studio who worked on that game, and it very clearly shows. And my preview, which you can read on IGN.com, is basically saying that it feels like a PS2 era game, original Xbox game, and the fact that it's extremely unpolished. The voice acting is like stilted and really terrible, and the just everything about it is sort of like crazy balls to the wall type stuff. But it's kind of refreshing in its non polished state. It's kind of just like fun and silly and reminds me of types of games we don't really get a lot anymore. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that game. The guy who's reviewing it for IGN, Mitchell Saltzman, I think he and I have different opinions about it. We talked about it at a holiday party, but we'll see. It's just a weird game. And so if you're into old school feeling games that have like a little bit of a Yakuza silliness to them and ridiculous over the top combat, it's a lot of fun. It's also pretty challenging, and so you might get a kick out of it. I played it on hard difficulty, so half of my game time, I think I played it for like 15 hours, and like half of that was me just like dying and replaying the same areas over and over again, because you get killed, man. You get killed a lot in that game. At least I did. So
is it did you play it on PC or is it on console too?
I played it on PC because at the time that was the only build that was functional. But it is on console. It's coming Xbox, PlayStation, etc. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen, since we first talked about it, I've seen some other previews and kind of clips of it. It looks really damn cool. So definitely check it out. Wanted Dead. Do you have a release date off the top of your head, or is it out?
It comes out. No, it's not out yet. It comes out, I think, early February. It's pretty close, or maybe mid-February. It's pretty close. It comes out in a couple weeks. I think our review's already done. They gave us super early copies, which is nice for a change. So that one you can pre-order it now. I saw it was on Xbox like store earlier. So yeah, I think it's cool. Getting ready to come out. It's been done for a while though, so I assume they're polishing stuff. Yeah, February 14th comes out on Valentine's Day. Perfect gift for the wife, you know.
There you go.
Not really.
Thank you, Zeeds. Appreciate you. Awesome.
Then, yeah, the other stuff I can't talk about, but my review of SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake comes out tomorrow morning. So I will be able to talk about it tomorrow, and then the game comes out on Tuesday. So if you want to know whether or not you should play SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake, you can read my review tomorrow, and then know whether you should buy it or not buy it on Tuesday. That's my recommendation to you. And then my next review is definitely not something I can talk about. I'm reviewing Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes.
That's all I can say about it. I'm reviewing that game.
It's doomed. It's doomed. We're all screwed. I was super excited, and now that Travis is reviewing it.
Oh, I was like, wait, what?
Zero chance it's going to be good. Zero
okay.
So, great.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, comment at this time.
Cannot comment at this time. I'm just going off of past experience. So thanks, guys at IGN, for sliding that into Travis's DMs.
There you go.
Weird.
There you go. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Thanks for jumping in early in the show here. So we've got a bunch of other games to talk about. So where do we want to start? Why don't we start? Dan, I'm going to let you go, brother. Let's talk about the Freelancer mode for Hitman 3. And if I recall correctly, you can certainly correct me. But they released Freelancer, and they released kind of the new structure of Hitman 3 to finalize how it is when you play it, right? So now it's kind of a singular contained experience. Then they update some of how you can approach it and go into it.
Yeah, so it was funny, we talked about this last week about the live service aspects of it. They've actually added stuff you can buy now to decorate your house. So I hope that's not, I hope it's like 2 packs and they're like $5 a piece. And I hope that's as far as they go, but they probably will continue to do it. So
live service.
Crap. Yep, there it is. Yep, it's a gas. It's officially gas.
Hey, anyway, they gotta keep their devs employed, right? So
they gotta do it.
Yeah.
I just hope they continue to support it. I mean, it's not. So Freelancer is basically a roguelike that is in the Hitman game. Hitman 3 is now all encompassing of Hitman 1, 2, and 3. A bunch of the other little DLC missions, and there's a couple, I think a storyline of called Patient Zero. It's all included in that, I believe, now in one package. And then Freelancer comes out. It's basically, Agent 47 on his own, no handler like Diana, even though she still talks the entire time. And it's all randomized. So you will go out and say to Italy, and you will it'll be random NPCs that have been in the game, or they have their own little NPC paths and stuff. So they basically made it so it's got kind of infinite replayability now. I mean, I haven't seen anything repeat so far, so I'm not 100% sure if it's like procedurally generated every time. I know if you like were to back out of a mission, it's like, because I had my game basically shut down. It was a bug or something, and it went back to the home screen. I relaunched it, got back into that mission, and it was exactly the same. Had to kind of start it over. So, but other than that, there's been no repeat, NPCs that you go after. So far that's good. And otherwise, it plays like Hitman. You have to kind of change the way you play. At least I did, because I was always, the guy that would try to get the silent assassin rating, try to make sure all the bodies were hidden, try to do all this stuff. Now that stuff doesn't matter as much. There are optional objectives, which is how you make money, which is how you grow your inventory of items. Those optional objectives are ass. Mostly, they don't mesh very well together a lot. Like, you'll have one that's like, okay, make this thing explode, but then your other objective is to not alert anybody, so it's like you can't do both. So you kind of have to pick and choose like which one you want to do. I wish they would fix that a little bit. But otherwise, man, it's just more Hitman. I mean, and it's awesome. I've been playing it basically nonstop since it came out, and I made it through a campaign. Here, I'm gonna explain this. You have a campaign. It's basically all in all, it's about 18 assassinations ish. I take that back. It's 18 levels. Sometimes there's multiple assassinations in each level. There's a lot of intricacies that I could sit here and talk about it for an hour. But it's you play through it. If you die, you lose all your stuff, right? And you basically start over. You have two different kinds of items. You have items that you will lose, and then you have your permanent items that you've earned. Guns / special whatever. You can't lose those. But those are hard to come by. And I just started figuring out, like, there's a tranquilizer gun that I use a lot in the Hitman regular game, and I got it, and then I finished the campaign, it disappeared. So you lose all your stuff at the end of the campaign. I was like, well, where the hell is it? There's two versions of it now, where there's like the cheap version, and then there's like the super expensive version. The super expensive version, I found out that you actually keep throughout your entire career. And as you're doing all this, you're also unlocking different parts of your house. Like, I got a helicopter in like 10 minutes. It was crazy. You got boats.
What do you do with a helicopter in Hitman?
It does nothing. It takes you to your next mission. It's literally cosmetic. Everything in this whole thing is like just cosmetic. Like, I've got a car, 2 motorcycles, a hearse. Not sure where that came from. You can change your bathroom setup. You can change basically anything you want.
Travis looks exhilarated.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically a simulator. Like, it's that whole part of it is just like, for me, it's not super important.
So
it's just
a couple follow-up clarifications.
Yeah,
you said that it has stuff that you can keep from playthrough to playthrough.
Yes,
which technically means it's a roguelite experience, not a roguelite. Okay, correct.
Yeah,
great. Well. Second clarification. Yeah. Is it true that right now your favorite video game is a live service roguelite game?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, I will admit that is a live service.
Remember this. His favorite game is a live service roguelike game. And when it came out, roguelite, and when it came out, it only had 5% of the content that was in the final game, and people were like, wow, this game's unfinished. And they added to it from year to year, and eventually it became a full game. In fact, if I recall correctly, when Hitman came out, it had one mission, the tutorial mission, and I paid for it.
Yeah, Sapienza. You basically got it. Yeah, and then they released it in.
How dare they release a game in such an unfinished state, minimum viable product?
Listen, you can buy the whole thing. Crazy. But yeah, they released it in episode.
It's crazy.
They're small.
It's crazy how live service model allows games to exist that wouldn't normally exist without that model. It's nuts, guys.
We're giving too much Travis too much power at the start of this episode. I don't like it.
I'm saying, bro. Jeez, bro. Anyway.
No, it's so, good. They did a really good job with it.
So let me just understand the level real quick, because I don't want to stand on it too long. But you, instead of now where you had all these different objectives for each level and different assassinations, right? And you could do those in different ways. Now you're saying that you go into this mode, there's assassinations you still have to do on the same levels, except for certain things are procedurally generated. And you start at the bottom with basically your bare essentials. You earn money by doing things, and you can spend that money to then buy upgrades, which you can use permanently going forward, or at the start of every time you set out.
You can't buy them at your safe house. You have to buy them from people that are in these levels. So let's say, like, when you start off, there's 4 different tiers. The first one has 2 assassinations, so 2 locations, and then that third location is the boss of the level. So you have to kill the first 2 people. Then you go to this boss level. Well, there are 4 or 5 suspects in that level. So you have to use your camera, go find, like, they'll tell you, okay, he's got glasses, he's got, whatever. And then you find that person, take them out. And that's when you kind of start getting the gear. You can get like 1 piece of gear every time you do a boss, basically. That's permanent. That's going to stay in your permanent thing. As far as I know, I haven't lost it yet, so we'll see. But otherwise, it's basically that. But the problem is I think it's so random that for somebody like me who's played a game a certain way for so long, when there's, for example, there's a New York level where you go into a bank, and one of the targets was a security guard. He didn't go anywhere but, like maybe a 30-foot space in the middle of the bank. There's no way I could have hid the body. There's no way I could have silently taken him out with nobody noticing. There's no way I could have done any of that stuff. So I'm sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? Because everything's telling me this is how I played it for so long. This is how I need to continue playing it. But you have to basically change the entire way you've played and just basically run and shoot him and then run the hell out of the door. That's basically what I've come down to.
That's
like,
good,
you don't get penalized like you used to for not getting the silent assassin rating for stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's just different, and it changes it up enough to where I'm enjoying it. I don't know how much longevity it's going to have. Like, if they continue to, update it with some new weapons, maybe. I don't know what they do. If they're just going to do like little $5 content packs, then yeah,
I was going to say, I don't think they've got a lot of development resources on Hitman 3 at this point. I think this was their kind of last hurrah to keep it, playable for people like yourself. But I have to imagine that the bulk of their resources are on 007.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing too, which is fine. I like to see what else they can do, so it should be good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's free, so I mean, I really can't complain about it. Like I said, they've consolidated everything else, so everybody can play everything, play the whole story. Can do everything. So it's good for people that want to at least try it out. I liked it, but of course,
cool.
I'm super biased. So,
well, I did reinstall it with the plan of trying it before this show, but thanks to 2 other releases, I have not. So, mostly been playing Dead Space, which I know Dan is not playing. Travis, have you touched Dead Space at all?
Yes, not the build that's out.
Okay.
Before it came out, I played it, but I really want to play the game. I will say I'm super surprised. I think I said on the show that people that I knew had played early access versions of the game were a little worried about it. And that appears to they finished the game. This is why you got to give them a chance and wait for them to finish the game. I'm really excited to play this one though. Everything I've seen so far has just been awesome, and I liked what I played in preview. It seemed like it was.
It's I'm still pretty early, but it is it's fantastic. It's a fantastic update so far. Runs really, really well. No issues there. Looks fantastic. The sound is spectacular. The 3D sound really adds a lot to the environment. Will creep you the hell out really quickly. Lighting is fantastic. I mean, it's just, I could just throw a bunch of superlatives at it. I was I don't know why I was surprised. I mean, I remembered how good Dead Space 1 and 2 are, at least to me. I love those games to death. But revisiting it now, especially with the update and everything else, has just been fantastic. So I'm loving the hell out of it. I would say that whether you've played it before when it came out years ago, or you have never played it, but you're willing to play a horror game, of course, absolutely check it out. It's worth it. It's it's fantastic so far. So
I played through the original Dead Space. That was a long time ago, but I thought about it.
You did play it? Why don't you play the new one then? You should be fine.
Yeah. I mean,
Also,
I'm just, the thing about it, the older I get for some reason, the smaller my box becomes on the games that I actually want to play. So I don't know why that is. I just have no desire to play.
I'm old.
I mean, I love Dead Space.
My goal is to never be like Dan. I want the games that I play to expand over time and not shrink. Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah,
he's done the opposite.
My palette is more refined now.
Ian Hogue, man. I mean, Hogue plays a lot of games, but he doesn't like a lot of them. Yeah,
plays a lot of them, doesn't like a lot of them. I all I can think now is, as I play through this and I'm loving it, all I can think now is, man, I hope they do Dead Space 2. While Dead Space 1, I think is, Dead Space 1 is kind of a more classic survival horror experience. I just adore Dead Space 2. I think it expanded it in a lot of smart ways. And I really hope that they, continue. I hope this is very successful. Obviously, critically, it's been very successful. I hope it sells well and does well for Motive and EA, and they go ahead and approve production of part 2, because that'd be amazing. So
what else did Motive do? I keep forgetting. Did they do that
Star Wars? Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I was like, man, I know I've heard of these guys.
Yeah.
And didn't they do the story part of Battlefront 2? Why is that ringing a bell?
So. Yeah, probably.
Sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Get a Motive.
I prefer Dead Space 1, so I'm happy to just play this one.
Yeah. Definitely play it. It's excellent. Yeah.
I have it installed. I'm just ready. I'm waiting for a good moment. As you know, I'm working on other stuff right now. So
Yep.
Gotta grind.
Well, especially if you're reviewing Hogwarts, that looks like a huge game. So that's gonna take some time. I know. Which I know you can't talk about. So we got a surprise release, and we're going to talk more about the Xbox Developer Direct fully. But we got a surprise release this week from Xbox, Tango Gameworks, and Bethesda in Hi-Fi Rush. It dropped right at the Developer Direct, which was pretty shocking, really. So before I talk about the game itself, have either of you played it, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Come on, Dan. You got to play this one.
That one listen, I'm not a huge fan of cell shaded stuff. Like Borderlands is like my
what?
That's it. I'm good.
What? How do you find all these hills to die on? I'm so impressed. It's like cell shaded is a non-starter for you. It doesn't even describe the game though. It could be any game of type.
Listen, when that Direct came on, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I went to make some eggs when this popped up. I looked at it. I was like, nah. And I went to make a whole bunch of eggs and some bagels, and that was fantastic. I got back just in time for whatever was after it, and no interest.
Travis, he just described the difference in a security guard on a level in Hitman and his pathing through that level.
That's
crazy, where we are with Dan.
It's like he's trying to make his sweet spot as small. He's doing like Chinese foot binding, but on his brain. You know what I mean? Like he's just
told you guys this 100 times. I have a thumb drive, brain over here, so I can only put so much information on there. Right? It's only capable of holding so much. This isn't like a 4 terabyte SSD up here. This is like that little thumb drive that flips open that you shove in there. That's it. All right. So I have to prioritize what goes in and what comes out. So,
all right,
as little as possible, please. That's kind of my thing.
Well,
I'm sure it's great, though. I'm sure it's great.
Well, okay. So, a couple things about Hi-Fi Rush. One, I was trying to think the last time that we got a AAA shadow drop game that actually didn't leak. I mean, there were some like minor details that came out like the night before that morning, but not really anything that was truly relevant to the game itself. I wasn't coming up with anything. Like this was a pretty masterful stroke.
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends dropped without any previews?
Was a shadow dropped game and also released the same day that they showed it, and nobody knew it was coming.
Apex Legends. I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. They were like, you can play it now and it's free, and then it became the biggest game ever. Yeah. So Apex Legends for sure. But the thing that's impressive about this is it's a Microsoft game that didn't leak, period. Like the fact that anything that they announced didn't leak, and maybe that has to do with the fact that Bethesda's better at keeping their stuff a little bit more in-house. But it's huge. I was so impressed that they were able to keep any secrets, really, because Microsoft sucks at it.
It technically did leak, right? That it was coming from Tango, but it was
really?
People had the smallest details, and the only thing they had was like concept art from years ago.
Okay.
So apparently began as an idea in 2017, has been in development since about 2018, so 4 years. It has shadow dropped to a 91 open critic rating, which makes it, I think, already it's early in the year, a few games have dropped, but it's obviously going to be one of the highest rated games of the year. We see very few games nowadays that are new hit 90 plus. So really, really impressive. It's also really impressive that Tango made such a U-turn from Evil Within 1 and 2 and then comes out with pretty much a polar opposite game. I have played only a short bit of it.
They also did Tokyo, the
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yep. I've played a little bit of it. Elu did the review for us, which is already up on the site. You can check out. He gave it an 8, but I know there's other sites out there that have given it 9s.
He did the review in 3 days?
Yeah.
Good on him. Damn.
Yeah. Burned through it. He did. So, it's really, really cool to see. The art style is fantastic. The animation's amazing. I've really enjoyed what I've played so far. I'm pretty much addicted to Dead Space, so I haven't played it more. But I've been really, really impressed. And it's great to see Tango get such a big win and Xbox get a win and just everyone get a win. A good game's a good game.
Yeah.
So.
I was very impressed by this. This was probably my favorite game of that show, and I didn't know it was coming out. But as soon as it, popped up, I was just like, yes, what is this? I want to play this immediately. And I certainly wasn't expecting Redfall to be the game that I was least excited about in that showcase, but it was a damn good showcase. So I'm excited for really all those games.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the developer direct here shortly. But if you haven't played Hi-Fi Rush, absolutely check out Elu's review, of course. But definitely check it out. Obviously, it's on Game Pass, and you can just download and play it, and it's surprisingly good. And I hear it only gets better. Like I said, I'm pretty early in the game, so I need to play it some more. But cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I really like. Oh, we're going to talk about the showcase later, right? Okay,
we are.
I'll save
it.
Yeah. I'll save it. Yeah.
So you know what else released last week, boys?
Nope.
Forspoken.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Talk to me.
Yep. Nope.
I can tell you, my friend Tom Marks reviewed the game for IGN, and he's my boss and good buddy of mine. And he said, and I quote, "Oh yeah, that game. People will forget about that game by March." And I thought that was very funny. So. I think he gave it a 6, which is okay.
I think IGN gave it a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was sort of just like, it's fine. The writing's not good, gameplay's meh, but yeah, it's an okay game, which is kind of what I thought that game was when I saw it. I was like, that looks okay. I don't think it's gonna, change the world or anything, but I actually kind of weirdly am curious about that game. I maybe when it becomes a free game, I'll play it and just to see what it's like. But it's a game. It's a game you can play.
It screams $20 to me. That's where I'm at.
Excuse me.
I would play it for $20.
I feel like it'll be on the PlayStation service in maybe 6 months, and I'll play it then.
Yeah, I think it'll be a PS Plus title.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at games now. It's like, oh, is that one? Nope, too much money. It's about
I'm with Travis, and we've kind of joked about this game, and I certainly don't want to put down the game without having played it. I do know, there's people on my timeline that are playing it and really enjoying it, so that's great, of course. But yeah, it's just I knew from the first time I saw it, it's not my type of game personally, So to your point, if it becomes goes free on PS Plus, I'll definitely check it out. But it kind of landed about where I expect. I didn't think it was going to blow the doors off. And obviously, I think it comes out. They probably thought early January was going to be a good time to launch, and then suddenly we've got Dead Space and Hi-Fi Rush, both of which are like very highly critically rated. Releasing the same week, and it's like that could take the sales out of a 6 real fast. But hey, if you're enjoying it, let us know in the chat if you're playing Forspoken and what you think about it. But they were kind of weird with review copies as well. I think we talked about that last week. So so we didn't review it because there's a lot of even far bigger kind of creators and outlets that didn't get copies either, like VGC, and I know I think SkillUp said something about it. So anyway, but you know what else released this week, which has been years in the making, if you will, with a whole bunch of licensing issues and weird stuff, is GoldenEye. So GoldenEye is now out again on Game Pass on Xbox and on Nintendo Switch, and they have different features depending on where you play because of all the strange licensing with that game. Either of you boot that one back up?
Hell yeah. I actually had friends over last night for board games, and then somehow we ended up in the living room playing GoldenEye split screen. And it is as bad of a shooter as I remember. It's always been bad. It was never a great game. I'm sorry that your memory is wrong. You were a child. I get it. You thought that games were all bad and that this was a good one, but no, it's a bad shooter. That said, I destroyed. I didn't lose a single match. I still got it. Your boy still got it, even with those jank controls. He's got it. So yeah, we played last night. It is fun. It's a fun game. It is a terrible shooter. Nothing in it makes sense. I don't understand how that was the standard for shooting on console at the time. But yeah, it was a good time last night. We were just laughing about how silly it is, how the sniper rifles make no sense. You guys use a sniper rifle in that game? Insane. Unbelievable. I don't know how they're designed that way. They're basically auto rifles, but they have like a scope and they don't do more damage. It's insane. It's an unhinged way to design games. So boy, how far we've come from
25 years ago now, man.
Yeah.
Say it again, Dan.
Are the proximity mines still there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we did proximity mines on Complex, which is like a classic game mode, right? Because there's all those tunnels, so you can drop mines everywhere. And I think everybody else had forgotten that mines were the goated weapon, and I just was laying traps and blowing 10 people up. It was a lot of fun. So undefeated.
It's funny when I was thinking about it because we've been kind of saying the same thing behind the scenes, which is, there's a lot of nostalgia for that game for obvious reasons. It's not a good game. Like I think people forget it's a 25-year-old game. And it's, it was amazing at the time for what it was. And I have all kinds of stories I could share about 4-player GoldenEye. But let's not forget, like, even if you go back and God, I can't speak today. Go back and play Halo CE.
Never go back.
Never go back. Play Halo CE today from 2001. Like, we have to remember that Halo CE basically blew everything away when it came out. It literally changed the face of console FPS games, and even that feels incredibly dated nowadays. As much as I still love it, of course, it you can't argue it feels dated. So it's just wild to think. GoldenEye, man. I'm going to boot it up. I don't think I'm going to last more than about 5 or 10 minutes playing it just to check it out. But, I'll get a smile.
If you play split screen, Ains, it's good for like at least a half hour, maybe an hour of just like silliness. But I didn't even touch the single player mode because I don't want to know, frankly. I'm like, maybe I'll try it a little later. It's sort of just one of those things like you go back and you're just like, I remember why this was special because most people had never played a shooter before because they didn't have PCs. There were good shooters at the time, guys, on PC.
Yeah, there were.
There were. They weren't all like GoldenEye, but that's what you had, right? And then how long before Halo came out after GoldenEye? It must have been
3 years, 4 years.
3 years, yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, because Halo came out after Perfect Dark, which came out after GoldenEye.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. It was GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. And I think at the time we thought this is the best shooters are going to be on console. Nobody had figured it out. And then Bungie released Halo Combat Evolved, and it was like, oh, So
Yeah.
it seems like shooters are amazing on console. They can be. So it's great.
Aspects of Halo CE and the code are still used today. That's how good it was. It's wild to think, really.
The Blam engine, I think, is still in parts of Destiny right now, and it was in Halo 5 it was in Halo up until Guardians, and I think they still have pieces of the engine in terms of like grenade physics in Infinite, right? Yeah, like
pieces of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that code is insane. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's get a couple super chats here. Googleman is here. He hit the super chat a little bit ago.
Yeah, Googleman, €5. The Willow series. That was a good series. I watched that. As a loose sequel to the classic movie from the 80s, it's great entertainment. The finding's a bit sloppy, but the humor is great. Agree. I actually watched it. Me and my wife.
All right.
Big Willow.
I was looking forward to watching it and forgot about it. Yeah. It's good?
It's good.
All right.
Yeah. It's not like, Andor good, but it's, it's Willow good. So fantastic.
Awesome.
All right.
I did not expect a super chat about Willow today, so you guys always keep us on our toes. I like it. Appreciate you, Googleman. Random name in the house as well.
$4.99 super chat. Oh, you moved it. The cadence for Xbox is really beginning this month alone. We got 3 games: Hi-Fi Rush, GoldenEye, Age of Empires, and more in the spring. So,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's looking to be a strong year for Xbox.
When does that come
Age
out?
of Empires.
When does AOE come on?
I'm pretty sure it came out for console, didn't it already? I haven't played it. I'm not a fan, but
what is
wrong with you?
Age of Empire 2 Definitive Edition?
It's not out yet. I will be picking it up. I think it comes out on Tuesday or something like that.
This week? Okay.
This week, yeah, but I will definitely be playing that. I love Age of Empire.
Awesome. Tuesday, yeah. Thanks, Joe. Awesome. Yeah, and then obviously, like I said, we're going to get to the developer direct really shortly here. So thank you, Random Name. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing I want to touch on currently playing is I'm going to touch on the DualSense Edge real quick. So the PlayStation's version of their Elite controller came out this week. I'm going to be doing a comparison video on it actually between it and the Elite 2, just to give my opinion on it from a kind of a more of a competitive standpoint. It's really nice. It is very well built. It's very solid. It's hefty. It's very kind of premium packaging. The case for it is phenomenal, just the way it was all packaged and put together. There's a lot of things I really like about it. There's a couple kind of quirks I have, but it's got these cool little profile buttons so you can set up profiles. And when you click one, it brings up a little thing on the PS5 UI. So you can quickly switch between profiles if you have profiles for different games. It's got paddles or buttons, which you can add there, which is nice. Got the trigger locks, kind of all that standard stuff you expect. It's got different thumb caps you can use. So I put on the long thumb cap for the aiming stick, but it's kind of a joke. Like the long one is like 4 millimeters taller than the short one. So I hope they give us some better options for that in the future for people who, want different options. But it's pretty cool. I like it quite a bit. I don't know if it's worth $200, especially given that we now know that the battery is actually smaller than the standard DualSense, which was already pretty poor. But I think, it has the option to wire if you want, of course. And if you're not gaming for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time, you're probably going to be okay. So pretty neat. I'll have a lot more to say on it in the future. But yeah, it's
a controller designed for all those hardcore gamers who don't play their games for 4 or 5
extended periods of time.
Yeah, those people.
I don't understand. I don't want to harp on it, right? But I know when they did the Elite 2, because I talked to James over at Xbox and we interviewed them when they were premiering the Elite 2. And one of the things they said, the reason it costs more was because they put that 40-hour lithium battery in it, right, for the Elite 2, mm-hmm. So it can go on a charge for ever, and it does. So again, if you're charging $200 for a premium controller, why does it have a battery that is so useless? Essentially, it just doesn't. I
assume that the PlayStation controller costs more just based on all the stuff that's in it and the haptics that it does. I just assume it's a more expensive controller base, and they probably didn't want to bump it up to $250 or whatever they would have to do to give it the battery. But
yeah, maybe
it's sort of inexcusable. Like I was super stoked for this controller when it was announced, and then as soon as I saw the battery life stuff, I was like, nope. Because that's my biggest complaint about PlayStation. It's really not that I dislike their controller. I think the thumbsticks thing is a tragedy, but you know, the battery life was what was going to sell me. So
yeah,
I'm not picking it up, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, there's things.
Version, Ames,
the funny thing is, there's things I like better than the Elite 2, and then there's things I like worse, which is the story of life, right? You could put the two together, we probably have the perfect controller. But the big thing, of course, will be, does it last? Part of what we talked about many times in our long-term review, and plenty of people have talked about it, is the Elite 2 just, it has problems, right? Long-term, especially if you play a lot. I've gone through a few of them. I know people have gone through several of them. Bumpers, you know, just all kinds of stuff. And it'll be interesting to see after, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years of use, is this thing still holding up? But it is a really, really nice kind of feeling and holding controller. Oh, and the ability, of course, to replace the stick modules is awesome. That's very cool.
Best thing. So, I mean, really, but it's still, they should have came with an extra one for $200.
Like a spare.
Yeah, 100%. Instead of having to pay $20 for it or whatever it is, you know, I've got it as well. It's fine. I think everybody pays too much for these things, including myself. They use a lot of the components that are in the base controllers. The battery, obviously, that's going to be better for, you know, people like me. Like with the Elite 2, that was the best thing about it. It lasted forever. If you're looking for, you know, if you're like a competitive player and pro player, you're not going to be worrying about the battery anyway, because you're probably going to be hard lined in. Most of them play that way, so that's not a huge deal for that section. But for the casual person that likes to have this new tech, that likes to, you know, have the best kind of quality stuff that they have, you know, it kind of sucks, you know, when you get 5 hours of, you know, and then you're done. That's one mission in Hitman now, you know. So can't even do it.
What are you zipping up there, Ains? I hear the zipper.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to show the case. You know, that comes with extra thumbsticks. The other thing, like I'm picky about controllers. I know this, but like it gives you 4 extra thumbsticks, right? Including 2 what they call tall, even though they're not really tall, and 2 short ones. They're all domed, and it's like, why? Like, give me a tall concave option at least. And then it comes with this little plug-in you can put on the top of the controller when you wire in and lock the cable. And I'm like, that's okay, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, the case itself is nice. It does give you 2 different paddle options. So you can do paddle buttons that are clicky, or you can do the ones like I prefer, which kind of line up with the shape of the controller. So your finger just kind of sits on it. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like the thumbstick replacements too, they snap on directly on, but they're all plastic. Like I like on the Elite how it's at least a metal base. It feels more solid, whereas these ones are like light plastic. So like I said, there's things I like better about the Elite. There's things I like better about this. And I wish you could kind of just put the two together, you know, and make a perfect controller.
At some point, some third party, like, you know, Astro or Nacon or somebody would come out with like a $200 controller that will work on both systems, that you can, you know, move your sticks to either offset or parallel, you know, that have the replaceable. I mean, there's so many things out there with a good battery. Charge $250 for it. I would buy it 100%. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, you know, put a nice big battery, make it like out to here, you know. I want that badonkadonk, dude. Jiminy Christmas.
Jiminy Christmas.
I feel like that controller might already exist, Dan. It's just that, you know, you'd have to buy it on third party site.
No.
The other weird thing, right, that they do is like, so PlayStation, the haptics are exclusive to first party stuff. I think there's one other company that is making something that's allowed to use the haptics. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong here. And then on Xbox side, like they don't allow you to be wireless. It Bluetooth, but you can't use like the Xbox codec that they use, you know, for their standard. There's like all these weird things. It's like, I agree with you, Dan. Like, just allow me to do something that would work on both. But of course, you know, they all have to be licensed. PlayStation and Xbox have to get their cut. You know, it's always about money at the end of the day. I do have a Scuff coming. I've been mixed on Scuff in the past. There's some I've liked, some I haven't. I'm going to try out their top end Xbox controller from a competitive perspective. They had a big sale on them currently, so I customized one last week. I've got that coming, so I'll talk about that when I get it too. But yeah, I don't know. Seems most people are pretty happy with the Edge. Like I said, it's definitely a lot nicer than the standard DualSense. Is it worth $200? Well, that's going to be obviously up to you individually.
No,
for me, it's probably not even, because I don't even play anything competitive on PlayStation. I literally told my friends last week, I was like, I don't exactly, but I don't know why I bought this, but here we are.
Literally, I would pay $200 for a DualSense 5 that had a longer battery life. If that was the only change they made, I would pay $200.
Oh, like a standard DualSense, you mean?
That had just a standard DualSense with a better battery, literally.
Oh well, I'll talk more about it in the video, and I'll kind of break down some of the things on it. But yeah, it's cool to see them out in the wild. All right, so let's jump over to the Xbox Developer Direct then. We got that this week. It was about a 45-minute give or take show. They talked about 5 games. Obviously, we knew that it was going to be about Forza, Redfall, Minecraft Legends, and ESO, the new expansion for that. Obviously, we've already talked about Hi-Fi Rush being a nice surprise shadow drop. But let's start with kind of overall thoughts on the show itself, guys. We talked before about Xbox needing to get better at communication, showing some things that are coming. This seems to line up with kind of what a lot of us have been asking for, and at least the anecdotal consensus I've seen has been that a lot of people seem to like this format. It was concise. It wasn't a lot of talking from executives. It was with the people making the games. It gave you clear information, clear release dates. I'll get back to Forza on the games that are coming. But, it seemed to be kind of well organized and constructed. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I'm distracted by whatever's going on Dan's screen.
Sorry.
He's entered a meditative
cramp on my damn calf.
Pissing
me off.
I'm like, this guy, he's just rubbing one out live. All right, anyway, so there he goes. He's finished. All right. I really liked the format of this one. I loved the vision board with the markers, and they just jumped around from game to game. I thought that was a really nice gimmick. I think they should keep this format for all of their shows, honestly. I think the games they showed were great. Minecraft Legends, your boy's excited as hell. I'm so excited for that game. I was excited when they announced it. I immediately got it. Like, I knew what that game was going to be.
All right, slow down. We're going to go game by game.
All right.
I knew you were going to jump into Minecraft.
I love the format. And I think, hearing directly from developers, skipping kind of the bullshit and just showing us that they were going to show 5 games and then going from each of those games and giving release dates for 4 of them was great. So, release windows. Was it release windows?
Well, they had 4 solid dates? No, they had 4 solid dates. The only one that didn't get a solid release date is Forza, which we'll talk about. So, Dan, did you tune in? What'd you think?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I like that format for sure. But I mean, I'm not Forza and Redfall. I'm very excited for. There wasn't a lot there, I guess, as far as content goes, but I thought it was great. I would like to see more formats, from Sony and Nintendo like this, instead of just like hey, here's a game and here's a quick little trailer, and then we're gonna go coming, and then they go like right to the next one. This one has
like trailer. Yeah,
not that's fine for certain, if you're keeping up with a cadence of information throughout the year, right? If you're only doing like once or twice, then that's not enough information. This is how I think they should do it going forward. And I think everybody should kind of take some cues from it. So, regardless of what the content was, I still think, and I'm excited for Redfall, even more so now, which is crazy because it's completely opposite of Travis. But
that's funny.
Yeah, I like how they do it. I like how they did it. A good job. This is the best Xbox show that I've seen in probably 2 or 3 years, I think. The way it's done, the way it was done.
Yeah, I think obviously I've really enjoyed their summer shows, which are kind of different, right? That's more of like an E3 style showcase. But I think for any of their other standardized shows, I would agree with you. I like this one a lot. I think that this is kind of exactly what I was hoping for. We've talked a lot around how many studios and games and developers Xbox has now in their first party. Just do one of these every couple of months. You don't have to show 20 games, right? Pick 3 or 4 titles that are coming. Give an update on them. You don't always have to give a release date. Obviously, it's nice if you can. But I think just, let the developers show off their work, show what the game's about, answer some kind of commonly asked questions, and get out of there. I don't think it's really got to be that complicated. I hope that Xbox, it feels like they've learned from this, and it feels like the feedback on it was very positive. So I hope they're thinking now, okay, we finally found kind of a good formula in between our major shows of summer, sometimes Gamescom, and Video Game Awards, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, keep it up.
I'm sure they will get criticism for sharing too much outside of like E3 events, because this is sort of, I think PlayStation faces this a little bit as they do their direct kind of announcements throughout the year, and then when they get to E3, they have nothing to show except for trailers for games that aren't going to come out for 4 or 5 years, and maybe they don't get pounded for that a lot. I feel like Xbox would, though, personally. So
it doesn't have to be that way, right? I mean, they can do whatever the hell they want. I mean, they don't even have to go to E3.
True. So I actually covered this news story right after the thing, but they released a blog post right after that show announcing that they would show more stuff in Los Angeles this summer. So they basically confirmed that they're doing E3 or an E3 like show next to E3. They're going to do one of those things. So
yeah, their theater.
I think they're going to do it, but my concern isn't really that big of a deal, because I think we knew about all these games except for Hi-Fi Rush, which was going to come out the day that it came out anyway.
Yep.
But I just it's kind of a give and take. You gotta know when to hold your surprises and when to reveal them. I think this was a really great job. I just hope it doesn't mean we're in for a lackluster E3 showcase or whatever they end up doing around that time frame. So
it's going to be. I think to your point. So I do like too that they've already said they have a Starfield event coming up, dedicated Starfield event, and I think for your major titles like the Starfields, like Halo Infinite, your major ones, you do a dedicated show and kind of show what they're all about. But I think, excuse me, I agree with you that I think the question now will be, right, they set the precedent last year. We've talked about this around the 12-month kind of focus for E3. Well, if you're doing these kind of developer direct shows that are coming out, do you stick with that or do you change that? That's going to be interesting to see this summer. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I thought it was good. So go ahead. We'll jump over to Minecraft Legends. I know you're chomping at the bit here, Travis, and we got a super chat about it as well. So we'll touch on it. But Minecraft Legends is coming on April 18th. It is coming to all platforms, not just Xbox. So it's coming to PlayStation, Switch, PC, kind of all over the place. And I don't know. I'm mixed on this one, Travis. Like, I know the weird thing for me, it looks like they basically took Minecraft and they took Minecraft Dungeons and they melded them together and then added tower defense. It just looks odd to me.
Yeah. It's like Minecraft survival mode with PvP, like build a fort, destroy it, kind of like an RTS formula, but it's not an RTS, obviously. But to me, like that's a mode that people wish they could do in Minecraft today, and some people do it. They have like mods and stuff to do something like that. But it's like the fantasy of we're in this big open world, who can build up their defenses and like prepare for the battle first, and then we're going to attack each other and see who wins. That's sort of like a fantasy in the Minecraft community. And I feel like they're trying to make that a reality and just give you all the tools to do it and give you turrets and bombs and all the siege warfare stuff that we like to do. Because I mean, that's like just pure childhood joy. Like who as a kid didn't, I don't know about you guys, I had a lot of siblings, but the idea of like, all right, we're each going to build a base, and then we're going to attack each other. That's sort of just like a very like quintessential fun concept and loop. And I really am fascinated by that game. I think what was the other one? Minecraft Dungeons was it called? The kind of what do you call it? An ARPG?
Entry level ARPG.
Entry-level
ARPG light maybe.
Yeah, that didn't really do it for me because it felt really at odds with the Minecraft fantasy, right? Because it basically is like, hey, the big open world where you can do everything. Well, we're gonna make it top down hallways where you kind of just go through the halls and kill everything. And it kind of is missing that creativity building aspect that I think is like really core to Minecraft. This feels like it embraces it, right? It takes that idea of like you're in a survival world and you need to build up to, hey, we're going to take that same formula, but we're going to make it 100% focused on PvP and the idea of like killing the other team. And that's awesome. That sounds like perfect for me. So I've been excited about this basically from the moment that they announced it, and I thought that preview was really good. So
this is
excited for it.
Is there a single player component to it?
No.
No, so it's all PvP.
PvP. Oh. You want to play single player Minecraft? You can just play Minecraft.
Right. I want to play a tower defense against AI. That'd be awesome.
I mean, maybe you can do that. That's actually a good point. Maybe you can, but I mean, that would still be PvP. It would just be computer controlled Ps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You describe
Ps.
that. It's still like a competitive match, no matter what.
I'm thinking more like Age of Empires. Where you've got, invading armies and stuff like that might come and attack your base. And
I don't think they have that. At least they didn't show it or talk about it. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're just focused on the PvP module, which frankly sounds like the fun part to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't looked up a ton of the details on it only because I'm not too interested in it, but I don't know. Anyone in the chat can tell us otherwise if there's specific modes, but I mean, it goes
sitting on this call with two non-Minecraft fans. What do you do?
What
do you do, man?
Which, obviously it goes without saying we're in the minority, right? I mean, this game's going to be huge. It's going to be played by millions and millions and millions of people. So, I think it's going to be great. By the way, we got a super chat from Mr. Gecko Gamer about it as well.
Yes, sir. Gecko with the €6. Minecraft Legends sounds like a Siege and Age of Empires, but as a MOBA, I like the idea a lot.
Hell yeah.
So, that would be all right.
This guy gets
not the MOBA part.
This guy gets it. Yeah, it feels like just a mix of different kind of aspects of different kind of genres, right? Put together in the Minecraft world, like Travis said, where you can still kind of do the entire Minecraft experience within it, which is it's interesting. So, and goes without saying, as long as it's well polished and well delivered, which it 99% will be, it should be a big hit. So
I'm surprised that they hadn't modded, like somebody hasn't made that.
I think they have.
Game, have they?
I feel like Minecraft Dungeons and Minecraft Legends were both kind of, they must have been inspired by some community content at some point, because there's so many different Minecraft mods and stuff you can do, but nothing has been this extensive because obviously they did a lot of stuff bespoke and are making their own kind of mode for it. So this is by far more elaborate than any player made mods that exist out there. So. There's some good ones.
I'm looking at the main site. It says, and this obviously this doesn't really give us a full picture, but it just says, discover the mysteries of Minecraft Legends, a new action strategy game. Lead your allies into heroic battles to defend the overworld from destructive piglins. It said explore mysterious land. So it does, from the way they're wording this, it does look like there will be kind of single player component to it.
Well, they said in the event that the piglins were like a third faction that is in the world that you have to fight and deal with while you're doing the PvP event. So they could just be referring to that. It sounds like it's PvP VPVE. You know what I mean? Like it's like
It says it includes online campaign co-op and competitive multiplayer options.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it's structured to be.
Interesting.
So
it has a co-op story. Somebody says, "Okay, I did not know that. That is also cool." Damn.
Very cool. Yeah.
I'm excited for that game, guys. It's going to be big. I guarantee it. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Redfall. So Redfall, we got a lot of details on. We got more gameplay. They've talked kind of a lot about Redfall lately in the sense of more and more has come out about it. I'm glad they finally showed in a bigger presentation, even though, like I said, these details have been out there, But I'm glad they showed kind of some of the skill building for the characters, some of the attributes for the different characters. It's coming out May 2nd, so we got a firm release date finally for Redfall. If you didn't know as well, which I found interesting, so they're doing the Game Pass upgrade path again. So if you have Game Pass, but you want the deluxe edition and kind of future DLC, you can buy that for $29.99. And it even comes with a steelbook, which I think is really interesting. So for weirdos like me who have Game Pass, collect steelbooks, et cetera, it's pretty cool that I can get a steelbook and the deluxe version of the game for $29.99 with my Game Pass subscription. So pretty neat. They also, the last detail is that what I didn't expect, if you didn't notice this, is in the expansion, it shows 2 more characters. So with Redfall being 4 characters and the 4 having unique skills and building and et cetera, it obviously looks like they're going to add to this, kind of like maybe what they did with Borderlands, where you get new Vault Hunters that come later in the game.
That was my thought. It didn't look like a live service, but it looked like one of those games where it's going to have support like the year after, and we'll have new characters and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely reminded me of Borderlands.
Yeah, for sure. So more of a kind of, I guess, what'd you say, a traditional model, if you will, of additional DLC content. Yeah. But I've been hyped for this one since the start. I gotta ask you guys, and I want to ask the chat as well. So after this presentation, I actually heard some people say, okay, now they're hyped for it. I don't know if they didn't know what the game was previously or they just need to see more of it. But I also saw some people say this made me less excited for the game. Okay, and you're raising your hand, Travis, and I it's weird because I'm very hyped for the game. I love Arcane. I'm confident the game's going to deliver, blah blah blah. But I didn't feel, for whatever reason, like the presentation was the best. The gameplay they showed,
and that's why I said this was the game I was least excited about. I really like Arcane, and I think they know how to do single player shooters and combat really well. But every part of the game that they showed made me less excited, whether it was kind of the main thing really honestly was the gunplay. The gunplay looks stilted to me, like really just like
robotic. We talked about this in DM. Yeah, it looked a little flat.
It just looks really flat to me, and like there's no impact when you shoot enemies. It kind of just like, you get like a mist of blood and then they just keep going. And so that kind of really bummed me out. I didn't feel like there was a lot of kind of like power behind the weapons and the gunplay. So to me, it looked like Borderlands with bad shooting mechanics, which, I mean, we can kind of argue that maybe Borderlands always had bad shooting mechanics, but it kind of had that vibe for me. And then the way the trailer, the gameplay jumped around, like they did a little combat and then they did a little exploration and they kept, cross fading between scenes. It did not inspire confidence that they thought that, every part of the game is like interesting or fun to watch. It just kept like jumping around, like they had ADD on their own game and didn't want to show any, uncut stretch of gameplay. So the model was a little weird. The gunplay really didn't impress me. I'm still excited for this game. I'm going to get it, but it definitely was the game I was least excited of in the bunch based on what they showed. I don't think it was a strong gameplay trailer at all. Unfortunately, I like you, Ains. I still think it's going to be a good game. I hope it is, but it just looked to me, I was like, gosh, these guys look like they need like gunplay help. Which is surprising because it's Arcane.
It's Arcane. And we also heard, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, I could have sworn we heard that id was assisting Arcane on this, which, I mean, who's better known for gunplay mechanics? A handful of companies, as well as id. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm still incredibly hyped for it. I love Arcane to death. So I have full confidence it's going to be an amazing game, but it did look a little flat at times. Dan, you said you're really pumped for Redfall. What'd you think?
I was probably on the opposite end. I think I didn't know as much maybe about it that everybody else did, and so I love Arcane. I love their mechanics and like Dishonored, Death Loop. It always worked out for me. I don't like first person shooters a ton, but those have always worked. Prey, obviously. So my expectations are, going into this, I was just like, I kind of know a little bit about it. I know it's vampires. I know it's like a co-op experience. The only thing that worries me is a lot of times, and this kind of being their first foray into that co-op gaming kind of area, it's can they balance it enough to where it's like, hey, you can play this all by yourself, or you can play with friends, right? Some games like Strange Brigade always pops into my head for some reason, like where playing by yourself, it was kind of a task, and it was way
that game was not fun by yourself.
It was not fun. No, and there was no balance, right? You have to be able to balance. Like Borderlands does a pretty good job with it. They've always done that. So I play that whole thing by myself, not have to worry about anything. Adding people was just kind of like the icing on the cake. So that's my only concern. But if they can nail that, then this will be a for sure day one for me. So. Cool.
I'm glad we got a date, May 2nd. It feels like a long way away. It's not. That'll be here before we damn know it. So I'm pumped about that. And I love the upgrade path. I just want to say that out loud. Like, Xbox needs to keep doing this, where if they have a gold edition, deluxe edition, whatever word they want to use, that gives you expansion pass or DLC content or additional features, what have you, allow Game Pass members to get that stuff at a nominal fee. You can argue that $30 is not necessarily nominal, but when games are $70 and gold editions are $100, $30 is, it's not too bad, especially if you're getting a steelbook with it, like I said, which usually steelbooks are $10-15, depending on what you're buying. So I like it a lot.
Cool.
We'll jump to ESO. I don't have a lot to say on ESO, guys. The details are, it's called Necrom, the expansion. It's a shame Hoag's not here, obviously, because he could talk best about this. Travis can. Sorry. Yeah. So I'll shut up in a second then. They've got, it comes out June 5th for PC, June 20th for consoles. It's called Necrom Shadow over Morrowind. It introduces a new class called the Arcanist. And it's got new events, typical kind of broad scale expansion for ESO. I will now shut up because that's the extent of what I know.
Yeah. So you're an old school Elder Scrolls player, right?
Yes.
So you played Arena?
I played Arena, played Daggerfall, but Morrowind is where the love really came in. Yeah.
So because to me, I have a lot of really good memories of Arena, like super OG. I think that game was old when I played it because I was born.
If you go back and look at it now, it's like, my God.
It's very old. But I still have really, really fond memories of Necrom, which is the namesake of the expansion. ESO is great. They keep adding new areas that you can just explore, and kind of the reason Hoag talks about a lot on the show, because it's a really easy MMO to pick up. You know how some MMOs you pick them up and they feel terrible because you're just like, oh my God, I've missed so much, I don't know what to do. And like Final Fantasy 14 is like, great game, terrible to just like pick up and play. There's like no path to just like do that.
It's such a hard thing to do from a design perspective when you have all that content and all those features and capabilities, and it's like, how do you introduce a new player to what to do?
But ESO is really good at it because it's got just a very simple, like, you start the game, you play the opening mission, and then after that you can go wherever you want. You can go to any area that you have access to, and now they're going to give access on Game Pass to all of the content, right? At every expansion, you can start just playing for free. I think it's like for a couple months before or after the expansion comes out. And that's awesome. You can just, grab your sword or your magic wand and just wander off and go and find something to do and some series of quests to go on. And it's just so fantastic. And it's also one of those games that like Dan was talking about, or saying he wished it was. It's one of those games you can easily play by yourself or have fun with friends. I pretty much only play it with friends, but like I a couple of years ago, I used to play it by myself right when it was starting to get good, because it had a couple of rough years there, like ZeniMax seems to like to do. Fallout 76 is another example. They like to release like half of a game and then go from there. But yeah,
that's called live service.
I would say that's MMO model actually, but yeah,
I know, I'm just giving you
technically a live service. But yeah, I'm just really impressed by how well ESO has grown and evolved. It's crazy that it's on console. And I'm really excited for Necrom. The lore behind it, Hermaeus Mora, anybody know? Daedric Prince of Forbidden Knowledge, one of the strong. Okay, I'm just gonna stop talking because y'all are bored as hell. But anyway, I'm super into Elder Scrolls lore, and it's really nice to see them playing with Daedric Princes again. So I'm stoked about it. Yeah,
Dan, you missed some quality ESO lore. Do you want him to go back? Do you want to repeat?
I can tell you. Do you want to know about Hermaeus Mora? Huh? You want to know? You want to know some other quest lines he's been involved in? Huh?
I love the support that you have for ESO. It's fantastic, and they've done a great job supporting it. However,
they have done a fantastic job.
Yeah, every time I try to get into it, because I love Skyrim and I love Morrowind and I love Oblivion to a certain extent. There's it's so much. There's so much content, and it's just overwhelming. Every time I get in there, I'm just like, I see everybody running around and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Where do I start?
You have the paradox of choice. They give you so much freedom. You feel like you have no. That's funny.
Well, I know when Hogue started talking about it a few months back, right? I reinstalled and I started over again. I've started that game like 4 times now, but I do agree, like from an MMO perspective, Travis, like you do that opening mission, which is the same opening mission it's been since I think the game started. It's the same one I played years ago. But then you get to the town and you kind of wander around and someone asked, Jay asked in the chat around a new gen version on Xbox and PS5. Is it on PS5? I just said that like it was. Okay, yes. Thank you.
This is games like Fallout 76 that Microsoft is continuing to publish on PlayStation. So,
on both, yeah. It runs really well. The update was great. It's super smooth. It's sharp looking. And I mean, it really is well done. And you don't, from at least what I've seen, and Travis, you can maybe speak to this more, but I don't ever feel like I have to spend real money. There's a lot of options too. And they do kind of say, hey, check this out. But I don't feel like I'm lacking things to do or progress because I'm not spending money.
Yeah. I hope, maybe they'll have a new, hopefully the card game a lot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did like the card game.
He likes the card game. And I think the reason Hogue liked it is because it really is just like a popcorn game. You can just pop in, you can play a little bit. It doesn't force you down any quest lines. You don't feel like you're missing anything. Like you can log on and not have played for a year and a half. And you're like, all right, I'm still right where I left off. Now there's just more stuff I can do. There's more directions to walk. And I just think that's really, it's just a really well-designed MMO game that doesn't feel like it gives you a lot of pressure to play it or to keep up to date or do any of that stuff, unless you're trying to be emperor of the game, which you can do. Do you guys know this about the game?
Isn't that an achievement?
Yeah, there's an achievement. It's one of the rarest achievements in the world. It's for being the emperor. There's only one of them every season. You have to be the person who has like the highest PvP contribution and do all this PvE accomplishments. And you kind of have to get like selected by everyone else in the game. And if you get it, it unlocks its own emperor skill tree that's exclusive to people that have been the emperor. And it's one of the most powerful skill trees in the game. Yeah. And so you can put your XP and your skills into the emperor class tree. And it's like, 20 people who played the game have it. It's crazy. Wow. What a crazy game, right? There's actually an article.
That's very cool, but very crazy. Yeah.
There's an article online about a games journalist who decided he was going to become the emperor, and he did. And he wrote about it, his like crazy journey to figure out like how to do it, and then putting aside all the time and dedication to like get there. And he explains how you can become the emperor. I read it a couple years ago and it like blew my mind. I was like, should I do this? Am I considering doing this? I don't have that kind of time, but it was amazing. So
I was just going to say,
it's a wild game. It's a wild game.
If you think about MMOs and you think about some of the people out in the world that play these games, like, you know what I mean? 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day. Like, I can't imagine what it would take to do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The answer is, by the way, you have to spend a lot of money. That's like part of it.
Well,
you have to.
Probably.
Yeah. You have to spend a lot of money. You have to put a ton of hours into it. You have to get people to like you in certain factions and influential groups. It's a crazy game, dude. What a wild game.
Man.
Elder Scrolls rules.
Yeah, it's wild. I hadn't heard that before. I don't think anyway. All right. So my most anticipated game, which, I've talked about quite a bit, is Forza Motorsport. So we got Chris Sasaki, fantastic guy, the creative director over at Turn 10, talked a little more about Forza, and they actually followed up the following day on the Forza monthly showcase, which they do every month. It's obviously mostly Horizon focused lately, but they talked a little more about Forza Motorsport on there as well. I did put up a little preview on the site with a bunch of the details just broken down if anyone's interested. But game looks absolutely incredible. They've confirmed again, that it runs literally at 4K 60 with in-race ray tracing. Some of the, if you really want to geek out, I won't do it on the show, but if you really want to geek out from a simulation racing perspective, there's a lot of very, very cool details they've talked about. So they've talked about like, the physics engine around how the tire reaches the road and how weather affects it and how many contact points there are for each tire and, day-night cycles and weather cycles. And they talked about there's going to be 20 tracks at launch. There's going to be over 500 cars. Over 100 cars are brand new to Forza Motorsport and include a bunch of modern race cars, which is very, very cool. So if you don't know, for example, a lot of the sim racers, they have quite a few of the real racing car models, but not like up to date, like 2022 ones, right, for the races. And they've shown a bunch of those. So there's just, like I said, I could go on and on about this for a while, so I'll try not to drone on. But super excited about this game. It continues to just kind of blow me away every time I see it. One of the really interesting things is he said the total physics calculations being done like during a race is more than Forza 5, 6, and 7 combined. So it's taken such a large leap forward from a physics standpoint, which, as I've said before,
new engine,
is real.
Right?
Yeah, and it's new gen only, right? They didn't have to think about Xbox One. So it's a lot of what many of us want out of Forza for the sim side is the physics piece, like really nail that, right? So it feels realistic. They said that in the coming months, they're going to talk more about the new career mode and multiplayer components. I have heard they're going to do things like race weekends where you can schedule with like a group of people where like you have dedicated races over the course of a weekend, which is very, very cool in theory. Obviously, it will depend on implementation. And there's a career mode about building out a car from what they said and, kind of obviously working through that. So we'll see what that looks like. Obviously, the big thing about Forza Motorsport is that there was no release date. They just circled 2023. And I think others have heard kind of rumblings that, this isn't coming by June. So I posted the other day that if I had to bet, I would say September. October is probably a possibility, but it's pretty clear to me that this is not going to launch in the first half of the year.
Question.
Sure.
Is this the first official delay of this game?
It's never had a release date. So
but it was supposed to come out in Q2, right? So this is the
first half of 2023. Yes,
2023. So this, if I mean, they didn't officially delay it because they didn't say that it isn't coming in Q2, but it sounds like this is because the game is. We thought this game was going to come out like maybe a year and a half ago, right? Like just based on their normal cadence, and then it sort of didn't, and then the fact that they didn't announce it for that year kind of made us go, "Oh, well, that's surprising." And so it feels like this game's been delayed like 3 times, but I guess this is the first unofficial real delay. So I don't know why people are freaking out on this. I get that it's been a while since we've had Forza Motorsport, but to me, I'm like, we'll get it when we get it. I'm sure it'll be great. Let's not panic. Also, we're not going to be starved for games in June. We'll be okay.
Yeah, no, there's June is already ridiculous. We're certainly not going
to apparently.
Well, June is already Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, and there's another big one I'm forgetting in June already.
I'm wondering why it didn't get a date though. Because Ains, you know a lot about this game, right? We know they've been working on it forever. The game looks finished just based on what we saw, right? Like, and the fact that this game has been in progress for a while.
Yep.
Why not give it a release date?
Maybe because I think they don't have Starfield either. Like, and you can space those out. Maybe they're trying to space out those releases so where they hit that really good cadence where they drop, Redfall and then either Starfield or Forza, and then finish off the year with one of the other two. Maybe they're just kind of trying to see where all these other ones are going to land. So they're it gives them more time to work. You think
they know the date of Starfield, so they're waiting to announce when Forza is going to come out?
I don't know. I mean, I would think they have an idea of when Starfield's going to come out, but I don't know. They haven't released a date yet. So, maybe they're just trying to, balance it so they don't hit at like, June, July or July, August, or, maybe they're trying to space them out a little bit just to get, for subscriptions, that way you can keep your subscription for a little bit longer.
That's what we've talked about forever. The cadence of delivery for Game Pass is important to a degree.
So is that your theory as well, Ains?
I wouldn't be surprised if that plays into it. Like I said, I've said before on the show, I've literally, when I was reviewing Forza Horizon 5, I was fortunate enough to get into play test with some of the developers, as well as some of the kind of in-house play testers for Forza titles before they release. And they were already playing Forza Motorsport then. And that was October of 2021. Right. So the builds of this game have been around for a while and they just continue to evolve it. But I think part of the reason that they've been hesitant to announce a release date and it's taken so long is people need to understand this is a full ground up reboot of what Forza is, right? They built upon 4 to 5 for Xbox One at the time. Then they built upon that for 6. They built upon it for 7. This is a start over. It's literally a new, graphics engine. It's a new tire physics engine. It's a new weather system engine. It's a new day and night cycle. They recaptured all 20 tracks, brand new. They've recaptured all the cars and rebuilt those. They've rebuilt all the audio. Everything is built for this new gen only, with a level of kind of calculation and fidelity that wasn't possible previously. So if you think about all the aspects that go into a high-end racing title like this, with tracks, cars, audio, physics, and then you have to add single-player campaign, multiplayer components, webs, all the stuff that goes into all of that. It's a very broad, fully featured title. And it takes a long time to get it right. And I would assume, based on their history, right, Turn 10 gets it right. I can't think of a Forza that has launched poorly, right? And I think that they're just taking their time to get it right, which I appreciate. I don't care if this doesn't come out in the first half of the year. I want to play it. Don't get me wrong. I'm dying to play it, but get it right. That's first and foremost. So if it takes the third quarter, so be it.
So I kind of don't buy that it's not ready. I have a theory here. My theory is that they didn't announce a release date because they want to shadow drop it at E3.
I'm down with that too.
I think they want us to. I also doubt it because it's such a big title and they always make a ton of money on pre-orders and yada yada. But I'm wondering if they if they're acquiring a taste for shadow dropping things. I feel like they like the news cycle better when there's not a lot of hype for it. That way, they can just be like, boom, game out. Now you play it. Here's the, and then you get all the good social media immediately because people weren't expecting to play it. I'm wondering if they intentionally didn't give it a release date because they want to surprise people by being like, you can play it today the next time they show it. That's really the only theory I have, because yes, it's true, Forza games typically come out in the fall, and this could be a fall game. Maybe they just missed their deadline, but they've had so much time. We've seen it so many times. I feel like the game's done and they're just not telling us. That's my theory.
I'll tell you what, I'll 99% likely be at E3. I will 95% likely be at the Xbox Showcase. And if they come out and say you can play Forza now, you're going to see one guy get up and just walk out of the. There's going to be one guy. You'll be like, "Where's that guy going?" That will be me, and I'll be walking back to my hotel room to start playing Forza. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. The more I see of this game, the more I kind of read on the details and really dive into anything. Like I said, I covered a lot of the bullets on that article I put up. It's pretty incredible, and if they nail the online component, right, so that people can structure things properly, and they nail the new physics stuff, which is obviously sounds like they're going to have a huge hit on their hands. And I think the fact, of course, that because of Game Pass, so many people can just try it who might not have otherwise bought a sim racer, at full price. I think this is going to be a big one. So I'm pumped about it.
All right. Well, here's a big question. Does this game, assuming that everything that we've just talked about hits, it's the most amazing racing game ever, does it break through and get nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards?
Never.
No.
Really?
I don't think
Never.
It does.
They give it their own category.
Me.
Best sports racing game, Dan. They do not care about racing games at the awards.
There is so much disrespect for what a racing game like this accomplishes from a game development standpoint.
That's what I'm saying.
It drives me crazy every time, but no. And then even to double down on that, Dan, right? Like, we know what types of games typically win Game of the Year, right? Either it does something absolutely extraordinary, or it's narrative, based action game, right? And think about what's already coming out this year. You've got New Zelda, which just the name alone basically puts it in the Game of the Year conversation. You've got Diablo 4, you've got Starfield, you've got possibly Hogwarts Legacy, depending on how that lands. There's already a list of titles we know are coming this year, despite everything else. Final Fantasy 16, despite everything else that we don't know about. That there's no way in hell Forza Motorsport gets nominated for Game of the Year.
It's BS.
I'll say this: IGN, it's Game of the Year. Was it 2021? Forza Horizon 5. That's all I'll say. We're doing good work over there. That's all I'm saying.
I will just say that we were the same way at SG. A little bit smaller than IGN, slightly, a little bit. But Forza Horizon 5 was our Game of the Year. I gave that game a 10. That game is phenomenal.
It's not going to get nominated.
It's not going to get
Game of the Year? No.
Not even close.
No. I just... As well, especially, and obviously I'm biased, right? Because I'm into these games, I'm into racing, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know why they get overlooked as, oh, that looks nice. Oh, it's just a racing game. It's like, do you know what goes into making it run and play and look like that? Like,
I know why.
Go for it.
Because the racing and car fan and nerd overlap is a very small Venn diagram. You know what I mean?
There's only a few of us.
There's a few of them. And I just, that's why. It's because nerds like superheroes and, shooters and that sort of stuff. And cars aren't really their thing. But I love the nerds that like cars. Those people are cool, like you, with the notable exception of Ains. Those are my people. So, I think that's honestly it. I just think the overlap, the interest is not very high. It's a Venn diagram with a very small shared little space there in the middle.
Which is weird because like Horizon 5, we know how many people play that game, right? It continues to be one of the most played games on Xbox and broadly. And we know Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo on the PlayStation side sell a ton of copies, right? Like, it's a very popular game, but they do seem separate from the Zelda players
FIFA.
And the
FIFA is a great game most years. It's never been nominated because gamers don't care about sports. They're nerds. You know what I mean? It really is just the audience. And what's crazy is there's so many jocks that own an Xbox just to play FIFA, and they spend a ton of money. They're a reliable sale every year. And, I know a lot of them just personally, and they don't care who gets nominated for games. So they're not even complaining, right? They don't know what the Game Awards is. They just play FIFA.
But that's a huge difference, though. You're talking about a game that's going to basically change the genre of racing games, probably. I'm assuming, and FIFA that basically they can't even be bothered to change the banners on the stadiums to say FIFA 23. And they still say 2021.
I'm not saying FIFA is groundbreaking. I'm saying in the past, though, FIFA games have been like really damn good. Like, years past where they were actually making big innovations in the space. And I mean, there's a lot of sports games you could mention. You're a big fan of the show, right? Those games would never get nominated, and we all know why. We know why, right?
Because they're the same game from the year before. That's the problem.
At some point, they were original. We can agree on that, right?
Really. They just
I don't know what to say here. All right.
They just continue to add stuff to it. Listen, I mean, like Madden.
Wait. Do I get to use this? Wait, is Midnight Jury still in the chat? Do I get to use this? Bam.
There's no comparison between a game like Forza 7 or Forza Horizon 5, for example, which again, they continue it. Every release they release, they change it. They change the what a game should be. Madden is, hey, you can celebrate a little bit different in the end zone this year. It's like, and that's it, or they hey, we got a pink ball for October.
Who are you arguing against exactly? I agree with you.
I think he's arguing against himself at this point.
I think he's just venting at this point. I should charge by the hour. Am I your therapist? What is
you're watching this, and I know you are. Come on, man. Celebrate technical achievements.
That I absolutely agree with. By the way,
Instead
I
of
did
just,
not make a
this
versus that is just Dan square. So it's just
Yeah.
Dan against himself.
Just move it up
You
over my
need to
face.
replace your square with another square with Dan. So he's just fighting with himself. Yeah.
Oh, man.
No. Nope.
I did create those this week, though. So now, in case Travis wants to go, we can go. I'm ready.
Is there not one for you two? It's just you guys assume I'm going to be involved in the fight.
Wait, is there one for Travis?
Why am I
and Hope's
always
picture?
adversarial?
No, I got to make one for Travis and Hoag's picture. That's
Picture,
fantastic.
Oh my
He's
god!
already arguing with them.
Just me. You guys never fight. It's only me. That's so funny.
No, and I'm gonna make sure it's on the gold frame version too. So there's just the verses right here. I'll make extras for next week.
By the way, can I just comment on the poll? The poll is a blowout at this point for
It was
gold.
also rigged.
You guys, it is rigged. First of all,
Yes.
have you ever seen? It's rigged. You
it
had
says
people
John
admitting.
Gold, and
You had
then-
people admitting in the comments that they were having multiple accounts to vote for it. All right. You wrote gold, all caps with an exclamation point. Matching didn't even get a capitalized letter. It's like in the smallest font possible. Yeah.
That was purely by accident.
And And the worst part, they got the Travis endorsement on matching, which hurt the vote, obviously, because
clearly
I'm like that politician that endorses someone, and then the person's like, don't endorse me. Yeah.
Oh my God. By the way, we did get a super chat from our brother Fat Boy Horror on Forza.
£5. Again,
Yes.
I go back to all Forzas have been in September, October, November since Forza 3. Yeah, so I may probably make sense.
It's true. Yeah. So we'll see. The thing that really struck me, I'm always very cognizant of the way people word things when they're presenting. Like Phil Spencer is a masterful wordsmith when it comes to they'll ask him exactly something specific about a studio or a game or delivery. He always finds a way to word it just in a way that says enough without telling you anything. And it's just funny. So I always pay attention to that stuff. But Chris Sasaki said on the Forza Monthly after the developer showcase, he said, we're super excited about showing you the new career mode and the new multiplayer components in the coming months. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, it's not releasing by June. There's just no way. Because that means that, they're probably going to do a Forza Monthly or they're going to do another showcase, what have you. Now, that doesn't detract from Travis's shadow drop, but I don't think they shadow drop Forza.
Be awesome.
Let's hope so.
Here
I can at least give everyone.
Imagine, you're in the Microsoft Theater. All the lights go off. It's pitch black. Suddenly, you hear the roar of an engine.
Yeah.
Lights go onto the audience's faces like they're headlights turning on. Suddenly, from the ceiling, a giant car, a Bugatti, just comes down from the ceiling, lands on the stage. Out today.
Yeah. That's what it says.
Phil Spencer gets out of the car, the Bugatti that came on the ceiling. Welcome to E3 2023.
Oh man!
And then everyone who watches Bitcast sees that little ant go running up the aisle out of there, and they're like, "There goes Ains! I see him."
He's getting out of here.
Oh man!
Too funny. I hope that to be true. But Fat Boy, thank you, brother. Appreciate the super chat. And I think we got another one right as we were talking, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad the Versus is back. Thank you for $5 super chat. I am too.
Yeah, I'll create new variations for next week, but I had to get those in at least.
Yeah. So if anybody knows, Hogue is actually tweeting now. You can see it on his. He's responded to our DMs a couple times. Have we asked him his preference on his picture or / memorial picture? Which one? I think
gilded. It is gilded, Hogue. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we can say whatever you want. It looks like it's from a funeral.
We have not asked him.
If I were writing the poll, that's what I would do. Mine would be normal, and then the other one would be Hogue is dead. Those would be the two options.
All caps.
Yeah.
That's because you don't like democracy. All right. We've had a fair vote. We've done a recount.
Completely true. I do not like democracy.
Jerry, Fat Boy, thank you for the super chat. I think it's clear, guys. Gold, two-time winner, two-time gold champion is gold.
really the problem with democracy is the voters, isn't it? It's always been the problem. They're just, you can't trust them, you know?
Yeah.
The people don't know Jack. It's unfortunate.
All right. Yeah, the only other thing, obviously, Starfield, they dedicated showcase coming soon. So obviously we'll talk more about that when it comes. What is I don't know if we've said this directly recently, but what is your guys' hype level for Starfield as it sits today?
Out of what? Let's just say.
Oh, I mean, just yeah.
I have
You're
the
mid
appropriate
right now?
level. The appropriate level.
Yeah, I just don't know. And I mean, I guess that's the thing. You know, it's just like I love Fallout. I love Skyrim. I love everything these guys have done. You know, despite the bugs and stuff. So this seems super ambitious. I just want to see more. So I don't know, man. It's there's a lot of unknowns, I guess, still with Starfield for me. I still don't even know what kind of game it is. So
okay, so I don't get that. I don't get when people say I don't know what kind of game it is. We had a 30-minute presentation on it. How can you not know what it is?
I just don't know 100%. Is it Fallout-y in space, like how people have said before? Is it Skyrim in space? You know, which I feel like kind of probably takes it down to a very low level. But I don't know. I don't have no idea. Is it going to be 60 FPS? Tell me that. That's a
well, sure.
question.
We don't know that, right? We don't know the specific details around how the game's going to run, blah blah blah. But I mean, the core details of what it is, the factions, the planets, the looting, the combat, like we've seen all that.
Yeah. Have we seen the combat? I don't remember seeing the combat.
So yeah, we've seen that. Yeah. I will say this.
So much to pay attention, man.
They've not shown as much as I think people are expecting. There's a lot of people,
of course,
more, obviously. And I'll say my hype level is I trust Bethesda as a studio. I think they've earned that. They've made great games in the past. Very few high profile slip ups. All of their games have that certain feel to them where when they come out, they seem like they change things. They change the industry a lot. So I'm hyped purely from a historical perspective. In terms of the actual game, nothing really. I like the studio and I trust that whatever they put out is probably going to be really cool. But I've not seen anything about this specific game that makes me like extra excited. They haven't sold me on this exact game yet, but you know, Bethesda proper, they're a great studio. So if you know anything about the games industry or about Bethesda, you probably have your eye on that because you're like, look, these guys, every time they release something, it shakes stuff up. But in terms of this actual game, we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to see more. I think they're going to blow it up, right? When they're close, when they actually have a hard release date, they're feeling confident about it. They'll do their usual PR blitz and they'll announce like so much stuff. Todd Howard will talk about the game for like 3 hours and we'll all be like, oh my God, I need this game tomorrow. And then it'll come out in like 3 months or whatever. Cause that's usually the Bethesda move. But I don't feel like we're there yet. And I don't think they even necessarily want that hype train moving just yet. I feel like they've got it right where they want it, and they'll hit the accelerator once they're confident that the game's going to come out and they have stuff to show people. So we'll see.
Okay, I should be reviewing that one. I hope you are as well, Travis. That would be awesome.
No, what? No,
come on.
You get to review it because you own the site, bro. I'm not reviewing that. You know why I'm not reviewing that? Because one of my coworkers is Ryan McCaffrey. You think I'm going to review that game? There's 0% chance, bro. 0%.
What about Forza?
No, not going to happen. I would volunteer for it.
Redfall?
No, dude, I can't get that. The fact that I'm getting Hogwarts Legacy is insane to me, and it's only happening because everybody else is too afraid to review it. That's literally it.
It's fantastic.
So, yeah,
love it.
I hope they're making a Postal 5.
Yeah. Oh God. SpongeBob SquarePants, okay? That's the games I review. SpongeBob SquarePants, Cosmic Shake. You can see my review tomorrow morning. It's going to be big.
I think about something like Starfield, right, from a review perspective, and think about how daunting that is. Like, that's going to be a ridiculously large game to try and review. I hope they have that plan weeks in advance, but we'll see. All right, so we'll talk more about.
What's your hype for? You never said.
Like
my Forza 7 for me is probably way up here, and Starfield's kind of like.
Forza Motorsport, you mean? 7's the old one.
Oh yeah, not sorry, Motorsport.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I would think Starfield and Forza are pretty similar for me in the sense of Forza. I'm incredibly hyped for because I know what to expect out of it fully, right? Other than the career details and stuff, but I know I'm going to put dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours into Forza. Starfield is like, it could either be one of my favorite games of all time, or it can just be really good, but it's going to at least be really good, right? Like I know I'm going to put a lot of time into that game no matter what. If it's well polished and as kind of everything we hope it's going to be, it could be one of the all-time greats. So that's where I'm at. But I agree with you guys. Like I do agree we need to see more and know more. But we've seen quite a bit of that game for what it is. But you know, obviously, like Travis said, the marketing blitz for that game will start. It's the biggest game they've released in a very long time. It's critical to Bethesda and it's critical to Xbox. And I think they're gonna blow the doors off for it. They already launched. If you didn't see, they already launched merch this week. There's all kinds of new Starfield merch you can buy. So it's, you know, it's slowly ramping up. So we'll see. Where was I? What was I thinking about? Can't remember now. I lost my train of thought. The only other thing I wanted to that definitely wasn't it.
I think that was
the only other thing I wanted to mention today, as we sit here today, we're 3 weeks out, just over, from PlayStation VR 2's launch, and we didn't talk about it last week, but we got the kind of their launch window games, right? They talked more about the games that were coming. They did a little PlayStation blog where they gave trailers of a bunch of games that are coming, and there's some cool stuff there. There's some reimagined existing VR games. Obviously, Call of the Mountain is getting a lot of praise from the people who have played it on the VR side. But is it surprising to you guys, anyone in chat as well, anyone listening, surprising that we're 3 weeks out, we haven't gotten like a PSVR 2 state of play or something dedicated to really get people hyped for it? It feels like it's just kind of like coming and no one's really, it's anecdotal, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of hype.
I don't know if that is not the usual case for VR. I mean, think about every VR headset out there. Where
Sure.
was the hype behind them? You know what I mean? Like Steam put out a $1,000 VR headset, and you know, have you seen a commercial for it? Did they do a press release about it? No. I think VR just tends to hit different. I think the people that are really in that community know how to find that news. It's kind of like you with Halo, Ains. Like, you know everything about Halo, and you're like, oh yeah, I read the blog every week. And I think that people in VR, they have ways of getting news, but it's not really the mainstream thing that PlayStation is going to spend a lot of time talking about. I think once it comes out and they see some momentum, they'll talk about it, but it's a high-end product for a very specific audience, for people who own PS5s, which itself is a niche market of people who own PS5s and have, you know, disposable income to drop on a really expensive headset. So I think they're probably doing the right thing by keeping it low key. It's going to be one of those things where, you know, you launch it, you let the earlier adopters know how to get it and have some stuff for them, but you really don't start talking about it boastfully until you have some games that are killer. And I think they need to show their killer apps first, and then they can market it and be like, hey, it's expensive, but it's worth it. Look at this crazy stuff you could do. So I actually think they're probably doing the right choice by not really talking about it until they've got some successes on it, and then they can start marketing it. It is a surprisingly humble strategy for Sony, because they typically do not do that, right? Like they come out and they go, yeah, this is going to be the best thing ever, and yeah, it's, you know, you should buy it for. And they're sort of not doing that, which I would like. I kind of like that strategy. We'll see if they can support it and do that sort of thing. But I was happy with that list they showed of games. I think there were a lot of interesting ones on there. So.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the YouTube trailers. They released like 14 trailers in one day, and I watched a bunch of them. And there's some cool stuff in there. Go ahead, Dan.
It also might be a little tone deaf to, like, at the height of the recession, while a bunch of layoffs are happening, to like advertise a $600 headset. Be like, yeah,
they just released a $200 controller. I mean,
I know. It's just crazy. Like the height of like luxury items. It's like, you know, right. Everybody's laying off, and they're like, anyway, I know you guys you can't buy eggs right now in the country, but here's a $600 headset.
We'll trade a dozen eggs for PSVR 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Dan. You were going to say something.
I just don't think. I think RJH in the chat said it's the probably the cost of advertising based on what you're gonna, what you're gonna get from that advertising probably doesn't make sense, especially with the high price point. So
true.
I think,
actually, that's a good point, Dan, because they already sold their 2 million copies. Didn't they say it was like 2 million? Those are probably all gone. So who are they advertising to?
Right. They're not. Why even say anything? And that's great for them. Hopefully it's a hit and it kind of brings it a little bit more into the mainstream. I don't know if that will happen, but hopefully it's awesome. I'm glad. I'm regretting a little bit that I didn't. I mean, I guess I still can, but I'm starting to see the older games, like getting updates. Like, well, we're going to update it for the PSVR 2. I was like, well,
there's a lot.
I guess, there's a bunch, So I was just like, because that was one of my main concerns. It's like I have all these PSVR 1 games that I can't play on this new system, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna. And a lot of the companies, a lot of the dev teams are like, yeah, we're gonna upgrade it for the new system. I'm like, well, shit. So now I'm in that, like, grab it or, I need to call IOI and say, hey, you're gonna update the Hitman one, which was pure trash, because damn.
We can do the same thing again. I mean, I'll have it in a few weeks here. You can always come over, check it out, see what you think.
I do that. Yep.
So, the luxury of living close together. Yeah, I don't know. I see all the points, and I generally agree with everything you guys said and chat said, and I agree that this is more of a niche item. It's not PlayStation 5 Direct, right? Like something dedicated to PlayStation 5 players, and all of them. So I get all that. I don't know. I kind of expected it's a really nice piece of tech, right? It has the ability to align itself with such a fast-selling console, right? And community in the PlayStation sense. And it just feels, I don't know, it just feels like they'd be talking about it more, but maybe that's just me.
Well, if it is dead on arrival, as Hogue predicted a couple months ago, we'll have to put it on the screen embroidered in a gold frame so that people know that it's dead.
We'll have it on the left, a little PSVR 2 with a gold frame.
That way people will know without any ambiguousness that it is dead.
You can't accept the election results, and that is the sign of someone who has bigger problems.
I can absolutely accept that most people don't have taste. Trust me. It's my profession, pretty much.
Oh, man. Anyway, anyway, that was the last thing I was going to cover today. Got a lot of stuff coming up. As always, a lot of people in the chat here. Please hit that like button if you're enjoying it. Share this out to the gaming community. We've gotten a lot of really nice commentary lately. We got a comment last week. Someone who had never found Season Gaming or the Bitcast before watched our show with Mark Dara. I've remembered his name this week, thank God. And they said this is literally some of the best video gaming content he's ever watched. And I said, thank you. That's awesome.
Bar must be super low.
Who did he attribute all that greatness to out of us?
What has he been watching?
Was there a breakout?
Could have been Gilded Hogue.
It's probably not Gilded Hogue.
But comments like that are super appreciated, right? If you enjoy the content. It's really cool. So thank you for that. We got a late super chat, Rob. I think you do this on purpose. I'm watching you over there.
Wait to see Dan try to pronounce this word.
I can't even pronounce that word. What is that? Orate? Is that an A? Or what the hell word is that? Go ahead, Travis. Why don't you read this one? Because I can't read it.
It's fine.
I literally can't. I have no idea what the hell that word is. Is this Hogue Shadow account? The gold frame wins again in an entirely fair, non-biased, democratic poll. How about that? What the hell is that word? I've never seen that word in my life.
Aureate. It means to be gilded, framed with gold.
Why don't you just say gold? Sorry, Rob.
He was using
could be referring to just a color.
He was referring to he was using the vocabulary of someone who would have a gold picture frame.
Right. Okay. So how do you pronounce that word then?
Like Hogue.
Like Hogue.
Aureate.
Aureate. Okay.
But it's there's a distinction there, right? It's not gold the color, as Travis said. It's gold kind of not embroidered. I almost said embroidered. That's not right. Like gold layered, has a gold layer on top of it.
Yeah, I thought it
Christy
meant
Fletcher comes in and says, or having the color of gold.
Yeah. My understanding was the word means like to be like highly decorated. It's almost like a synonym for like gaudy is the way I've always perceived
gaudy,
that word. Yeah. It's like something that was you like sprayed gold on it because you're just a tactless whore is how I would describe it.
Yeah, Gecko's right. I described gilded, not aureate, denoting made up or having the color of gold.
Thanks, Rob, for the $5 and could you just say gold? But
I think he was using that word to make fun of the people who voted for it. Maybe that'd be my interpretation of the word.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put it back up there since it won again. So, all right, let's go ahead and close this one out. It's been a great day today. Chad, thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. Hope everyone has an awesome weekend. If you're listening to this later, as always, thank you so much. We've got a few things on the SG side. So our review of Hi-Fi Rush is out there. Got a review of Dead Space. I think our review of Dead Space is coming a little later because Zach, who's reviewing it, is like a Dead Space fanatic. He knows like all the lore of Dead Space, all the comics, the graphic novels. So he's replaying this and kind of doing the review from a perspective of someone who's a fanatic and where the remake stands. So look for that either tomorrow or Tuesday, I think. Power Chord's out there. It's a little indie game. It's like a roguelite card battler based around heavy metal, which is kind of crazy. So we got a review of that up as well. Hogwarts Legacy. No, it's a game.
You said based on heavy metal.
No, heavy metal. The music, the genre.
Man, that was a good movie back in the
It was.
80s. It was. Yeah. I was like, oh man, this is great.
We got Hogwarts Legacy coverage inbound, and then on the channel side, look for videos of a new statue I'm doing. Go figure. And then, like I said, more deeper kind of thoughts on the DualSense Edge as well. So, Travis, what you got, man?
You can read my review of SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake tomorrow morning, and then I've got I have other stuff I'm working on that I can't talk about. Unfortunately, I'm still kind of in a dark period. Not dark like depressing. Dark as in I'm going ghost.
But also depressing.
Also depressing. Yeah. Every part of my life is just implicitly depressing. But yeah, the thing I'm working on right now that I can tell you I'm working on is I'm reviewing Hogwarts Legacy. That review will not be live the next time we do Bitcast. I think the embargo lifts on the Monday after. So I will have beaten Hogwarts Legacy by the next time we sit down here, but I will not be able to tell you anything about it, so don't ask me. But yeah, soon Dark Wizard Travis confirmed. I wouldn't call me a Dark Wizard. I would tell you that the Sorting Hat immediately threw me into Slytherin with absolutely no question about it. So
that makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's that.
So game sounds good so far.
Yep, it's super real.
I wear that with the badge of honor, sir. Slytherin. Anyway, so I'm working on stuff. You can read my preview of Wanted Dead if you'd like, and follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis if you want to hear my opinions. If not, then don't.
All right, I'll follow you.
That's it. Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
You got one. All right. All right. As always, thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Love the support. Appreciate all of you. And we will be back next Sunday with a broader conversation on other releases and Ian Runkle, like I said. So it should be fun having, he's never joined us on Bitcast before. Should be a hell of a fun show. Hope you can tune in and join us live. Until then, have a good week. We will see you next Sunday.
McClunky.